Massive, fast-moving wildfires across much of the Texas Panhandle and parts of Oklahoma. Tonight, hundreds of Texans have been evacuated from their homes, and these homes are burning to the ground. I'm Mauricio Ortiz-Segura.
And I'm Chanel Young. You are seeing video of Pampa, Texas and Fritz, where clouds of smoke have covered highways as people are trying to escape. These fires are burning 3 acres of land every second because of high winds and drought conditions. 15
firefighters from Fort Worth are on the scene of what is now the second largest wildfire in Texas history. They have been deployed to the Smokehouse Fire in Hutchinson County. Mike Valerio has more.
In North Texas, frantic video of cattle galloping as fast as they can against a backdrop of black smoke billowing from one of at least 5 wildfires. The people recording also running for their lives.
It looked like Armageddon. It looked like our town was just being engulfed in black.
Some of the flames have jumped into neighboring Oklahoma. The explosive growth of the fire since Monday led to a brief evacuation of a nuclear weapons facility, a site tasked with assembling and disassembling the nation's nuclear arsenal.
Luckily, because of the heroic efforts of our surrounding community, the fire never did come to the Pantex plant.
Employees returned Wednesday, but many residents from the Texas Panhandle communities of Canadian and Fritch are seeking safety elsewhere.
We all were wondering, what is this? What's going to happen? Are we going to be able to return? Is there going to be anything to return to?
We've had extremely hot, dry days these last couple of days, along with extremely high winds.
Texas A&M Forest Service adds firefighters will try to take advantage of Wednesday's weather, a calmer day with lighter winds and higher humidity. But winds are expected to pick up again on Thursday with stronger gusts up to 30 miles an hour.
We will be returning as soon as we can to go assess damages, hug our friends, hug our families, and be thankful that we are all alive and start rebuilding.
I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
Although it is chillier today, Chanel, it's obvious that the Texas weather has been all over the place lately.
Very true. Earlier this week, we experienced weather in the high 90s. I wonder if this is something we should be concerned about, especially after that last story. Kayla Bumpus, what do you think?
Luckily, North Texas has no need for concern regarding wildfires. However, this time of year is when wildfires are most likely to occur, especially in areas that experience severe droughts. Here in North Texas, we're dealing with more of a shocking cold front and lots of clouds. Let's take a look for what we can expect for today and tomorrow. Right now, it is 46 degrees Fahrenheit, feeling a little bit chillier at 42. Wind speeds are a little bit higher at 9 miles per hour, and we're going to see some clouds. Those clouds are going to carry into tonight. Tonight, it's going to cool down to 41 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's going to feel like 38. Wind speeds are going to slow down to 4 miles per hour, and tomorrow, those clouds are going to indicate some rain. It's going to be 44, feeling like 39 with wind speeds at 9 miles per hour. And like I said, we can expect some rain, so be sure to bring your umbrellas. That's all I have for now. Be sure to stick around for full weather.
Thanks, Kayla. A major shift in the U.S. is about to happen. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell announced today that he is stepping down in November. McConnell is the longest-serving congressional party leader in the nation's history. McConnell, who just turned 82 years old last week, says he will step down from his leadership position in November, but remain in Congress to continue serving his constituents. He added that his decision was made following the death of his sister-in-law in a traffic accident. He plans to serve out the rest of his Senate term, which ends in January 2027.
Senator McConnell has been one of many congressional leaders voicing their disdain for another government shutdown, all while Congress races to come up with a government spending deal by this Friday's deadline. CNN's Karen Kaifa has more.
The federal government has already laid out its plans for a possible shutdown of departments including transportation, veterans affairs, and agriculture if a deal is not reached in time. And it's important to remember that these plans and the impacted programs can vary from shutdown to shutdown. Most departments wouldn't completely shut down, but some key services would be limited. Congressional leaders racing the clock again.
I think it's pretty safe to say we all agree we need to avoid a government shutdown.
We made it so clear
that we can't have the shutdown because it hurts so many people in so many different ways, even for a short period of time.
And households wondering how to prepare. In January, lawmakers passed another short-term government funding deal with 2 new deadlines on March 1st and March 8th. Without a deal, departments impacted by this week's deadline include transportation, housing and urban development, veterans affairs, agriculture, and energy. Operations critical to public safety would continue during a shutdown, so employees like USDA food inspectors and TSA workers and air traffic controllers would stay on the job, but without pay. The Department of Agriculture says recipients of SNAP food stamp benefits and pregnant women and new moms enrolled in the WIC program would receive March payments. VA policy says veteran health care would not be affected and benefits like housing and pensions would continue. But services like career counseling and the transition assistance program for service members moving into civilian life would not be available. Meanwhile, next week's deadline includes the IRS, potentially scaling back the number of IRS employees on the job as tax filing season approaches its peak. Other departments impacted by the second funding deadline on March 8th include education, which could further complicate the messy process around the new FAFSA form as workers are furloughed, and the Department of Health and Human Services, though Social Security payments would continue. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Election season is officially upon us, and that means taking advantage of early voting for another week. ntTV's Chris Cordova shares how you can cast your ballot right here at UNT. Chris?
That's right, Chanel. Early voting is underway here at the Gateway Center, and students have been arriving to cast their ballots for the Texas primary elections. If you plan on voting, make sure you bring a government ID like your driver's license or passport. Texas is an open primary state, so you don't have to register with a political party to vote in the primary. The last day to vote is March 5th, but if you wait till then, you'll need to find a polling center in your party's precinct. The polling times are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The last day to vote here at the Gateway Center is March 1st, this Friday. I'm going to go cast my ballot. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Chris. Are you registered to vote in the local Denton election? If so, you might be wondering who your candidates really are. This past weekend, ntTV's Avery Callens interviewed all 3 Denton mayoral candidates for our series called Making the Mayors. These exclusive interviews give an insight into each of these candidates' stories and why they are running for the office. We kicked off the series last night with incumbent Mayor Gerard Hudspeth, and tonight we bring you candidate Lucas Wedgeworth.
You have lived in Denton for 20 years. You have studied here. You've taught here. At what point did you decide you wanted to become mayor?
It was based on a conversation I had with my students. It was just before Thanksgiving, and we were talking about kind of just casually a civics topic of various titles a person could have. So it started off as like, you know, king, queen, knight, you know, dame, duchess, duke. And one of the things they said to me was like, well, we should see how someone's supposed to run for something like mayor. And they told me, like, you should run for mayor. And I thought that, you know, I should walk through this path and see how far it goes.
Yes, yes. You also said you had in mind some practical steps that we could start taking in order to implement, you know, some more housing development. What would those steps look like?
So I'd be working with developers who value that vision, because right now the value that we're seeing around town is gigantic subdivisions that people can't afford, gigantic shopping malls filled with major box stores, and I think Denton needs a vision of smaller and closer to home.
My last question for you that I'm asking all of the mayoral candidates is, what do you think makes a good Denton mayor?
Compassion. I think the only way you can lead is understanding what your people are going through and responding in empathetic ways that support them.
You can catch the last mayoral candidate interview tomorrow and find Gerard Hudspeth's interview on ntTV Live YouTube archive. Just like Mr. Wedgeworth, each of these candidates have unique backgrounds and perspectives to bring to the Denton community. So if you're a Denton County voter, don't miss out on the opportunity to meet the person behind the name on the ballot. Back to you guys at the desk. Me.
And we are back at the desk. Now, is your resume holding you back from getting the best job you can?
And is Beyonce bringing back the style of the Wild West? The answer is after the break. Are you feeling like your paychecks just aren't cutting it anymore? You and over 53% of Americans feel the same way, according to a new American Staffing Association study. As prices continue to rise across the country, the study found that 38% of Americans feel their financial situation is more stressful than it was 1 year ago. This has led to Americans saving less money for unexpected costs, leading to the lowest personal savings rates in 15 years.
Now, the question is, how do you either find a first job or a better one? It starts with a resume, but hiring managers say people make a lot of mistakes, and these mistakes might just result in that resume ending up in the trash. A recent survey from a national job recruiter says hiring managers spend an average of 6 seconds reading a resume. Only about 2% of those numbers end up in an interview. About 10% of people looking for a job apply to more than 50 positions. 85% of jobs result from networking rather than through jobs posting on websites. And a professionally written resume increases your chances and chances to land jobs just as much at about 32% over that one sloppy one or the one that lacks a professional look. Now that we've talked about bad resumes, how about we work on improving your resume with the help of UNT's Career Center? Our reporter Ashley Loudermilk shows more. What's going on, Ashley?
Thanks, Janelle. Today I'm here with Miss Leslie, the Student Account Associate Director in Student Affairs. Today, Miss Leslie is going to show us how to gain a successful resume. So, studies show 59% of recruiters will reject you based on poor spelling or grammar problems. So, Miss Leslie, what are some key tips to a successful resume?
Thanks for having me. Yes, a few key tips to a successful resume. It is a professional document, and so it needs to be well organized, concise, have relevant information, current information most importantly, and it must be appealing to the reader. That would be the top items I would recommend that students consider as they consider an effective resume.
I'll keep that in mind for my resume.
Yeah, great.
What are some key tips to keep out of a resume?
Yeah. And so there are some mistakes that students should avoid. I've got 4 very quickly. And the first is not including a professional profile or a professional summary section on your resume. It's immediately after your contact information. It gives the reader, the employer, a quick glimpse of what attributes, what skills, attributes, and strengths you have to offer to them. And I often call it the enticer. It makes them want to read and continue to read to see what else you can offer the employer. The second mistake students often should avoid is not including bullets or action verbs or impact statements to their work accomplishments. As an example, you would not want to say, I was responsible for developing and implementing an after-school program. Rather, you would say developed and implemented an after-school program which decreased after-school retention rate. So that gives the impact. The third is not tailoring the resume to the job posting. Employers use ATS, applicant tracking systems, and they put keywords in, they scan your resume. Once those keywords come in, your resume will pop up, and that will make them want to read further. And the final one is consider that unpaid or volunteer internship information is experience, and so that should be included on the resume as well.
Thank you, Ms. Leslie. Thanks for all the resume tips towards a successful resume. I'll be sure to get an internship and come to the Career Center. Thank students, if you need help writing a successful resume, make sure to come down to Sage Hall Suite 202 or find your career coach in your college. That's all I have today. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Ashley. And I know we always joke about how Texas weather is unpredictable, but at this point, it feels like it's all over the place. I don't even know what to expect anymore.
I know, I agree. This unprecedented weather has been quite the mystery that I'm having trouble solving myself. But maybe our weather anchor, Kayla Bumpus, could help us out. Kayla, what can you say about the rest of this week's forecast?
Well, as the both of you already know, this weather this week is going to be unpredictable, just like we've been seeing. Let's take a look. Right now in Graham, Texas, it is 46. Over in Bowie, Decatur, and Stephenville, it is 45. Up in Sherman, it's 45 as well. Over in McKinney, it's 46. Across the state, we're seeing pretty similar temperatures, a little bit warmer in some areas. In Houston, it's a beautiful 63. I'm pretty jealous of Houston right now. Over in El Paso, it is 51. Up in Shreveport, it's 53. And let's take a look at this week's forecast. This week, it is going to start off pretty chilly, and we are going to see lots of clouds. Tomorrow, a high of 47 and a low of 36 with a 50% chance of rain. Thursday, a low of 49. Friday, we're going to continue to see those clouds, but a little bit of sun, a high of 80 and a low of 55. Saturday, a high. Sunday, a high of 50. Monday, a high of 74, a low of 48. And Tuesday, we can expect some thunderstorms with a high of 71 and a low of 50. That's all I have for you this week. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Kayla. Well, the latest fashion trend has a Texas twist. It seems Beyonce is now everything cowboy. The fashion website Boohoo says there has been a massive spike in cowboy hats, boots, fringe jackets, and even bolo ties. But it's not just here in the United States. This Beyonce-inspired cowboy look has gone global. Searches for cowboy hats on a global scale jumped more than 20% after her Super Bowl commercial appearance. And it seems she is influencing other celebs. That well-known tasteful fashion icon Kim Kardashian was spotted wearing a black cowboy hat during a Super Bowl event that weekend. And looking more into fashion, a UNT student is making a positive difference in his community by mixing his faith and fashion. Our segment anchor Aaliyah Bordeaux has more on the story.
Thank you, Mauricio. Online shopping is at an all-time high. You can shop on social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. But one UNT student uses his creativity to establish his own brand and online clothing store called Living by Christ Apparel. Balancing school, work, and an online store is not easy. But Joshua Hinton uses technology and social media to run his own business. Let's take a closer look. A student with a passion for fashion and faith has an online clothing brand that is making a positive impression on the community. Living by Christ Apparel is a Christian-based clothing brand that is rapidly growing. Joshua is the brand owner and puts his creativity to the test when he established his brand.
I just felt like I have such a creative mind, and I wanted to design clothes and make clothes, so that went into it. Something else was, I'm a man of faith, and God-fearing. So I was like, how can I make clothes? Also stick to my Christian roots. So Christian clothing and faith-based clothing is what I decided to do.
Joshua manages his business completely online. He uses a website builder called Big Cartel to create a unique and engaging website to sell his products. He can also use his laptop or his phone to keep track of orders and shipping. Social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and even TikTok are great sources to grow a business. Joshua uses all of them, which helps him reach many people.
I like the message the whole brand has as a whole. You know, there's not too many brands that's like local out here that's really like giving the living by Christ. I really like the slogan, the stuff like that, and then like the design, they only getting better. Like, you know.
If you are interested in buying a shirt or simply checking out the brand, you can visit the website livingbychrist.com or check out the Instagram at LBC Apparel. Living by Christ Apparel just dropped new shirts today. I hope you feel inspired to do some online shopping just like myself. I'm Aaliyah Bordeaux. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Aaliyah. Coming up, an exclusive interview with UNT President Neil Smatresk as he changes jobs here at UNT.
And stay with us for the results on a high-speed race between the world's fastest drone and a Formula One race car. Only here on North Texas Television.
Happened to you?
My bike is gone.
Stolen bikes are an epidemic sweeping college campuses across America.
What am I supposed to do?
It's quite simple. The We Mean Green Fund has partnered with the UNT Police Department to offer free bike locks to any UNT student with a bike. Just show up with your bike in tow and ask.
Now I'll never lose my bike ever again.
Enough worrying. Get your bike lock today.
2 weeks ago, UNT's President Neil Smatresk announced he was stepping down from his position after almost 10 years of service. I was lucky enough to sit down with him for an exclusive interview, and tonight we bring you the second part in this series.
Do you think there's any specific issues to UNT that the next president is going to have to look out for?
Well, affordability is one of the pillars that we've built ourselves around. We haven't raised tuition for 6 years, going into 7. Not sure we can do that forever, but we have to find revenue sources that help us to keep pace with growth. Growth costs money. You have to add new faculty, you have to add new staff, you have to add new buildings. We put up about 17 or 18 new buildings or major renos in my time here. We have to be able to get our infant campus, the Frisco campus, off the ground. So those are going to be important issues. There's 2 other pillars that I worry about. One's retention. We need to do better helping our students find their path through the university in a timely fashion, which also ties into affordability. And then the 3rd pillar is career and professional development. We're the only university that I know in the country that's trying to now do career and professional development at scale. That is, every freshman, every sophomore, every junior gets an opportunity to join into the program and use the career coaches and the curriculum that we've developed. So, and with first gen, that's super important. So those are all things I hope the next person will be versed in, and the challenges that they face will be many, but the rewards are the best rewards ever.
And I guess looking back on your life throughout your 10 years here at UNT, what are some of your absolute favorite moments that you've gotten to
I gotta
experience?
say, the NIT win last year in Vegas was just like a super surreal moment, and I loved it. And that is, it's almost like it encapsulates your whole feeling of excitement, enthusiasm. And I'm not going to try to overplay the athletics piece, but it does pull people together from across the country and our alum. Getting the Frisco campus off the ground, awesome moment. But the quieter moments are important too. When I walk across the campus and some student stops and says, "Hey, Prez, how you doing?" You know, and then they tell me about their major and their dreams, and I offer what advice or help I can. the ability to connect and the ability to have the caring nature of this campus really flourish in the last 10 years is probably something I'm most proud of. You know, they say that strategy eats culture for lunch. And if you don't have a good culture, it's very hard to execute a strategy. It's soulless. I think the caring campus, the fact that we want to really let every single student know that they're valuable, that we want to do our best for them, is something that I think needs to continue to be celebrated, and something that I am so happy to see have evolved under my leadership.
This is the second part of our 4-part series with the UNT president. Join us tomorrow night for more with President Smotresc.
After finding 4 bolts missing on an Alaska Airlines Boeing plane door, the Federal Aviation Administration has given Boeing 90 days to come up with a plan to address quality and safety issues. A report released Monday found employees did not understand their role in safety and feared retaliation for raising safety-related concerns. Because of this, the FAA says this plan must lead to a major shift in manufacturing quality and control, and they recommend they address those issues as well in the next 6 months. And while transportation safety is becoming an increased concern, Apple is taking the future of these safety concerns into their own hands by abandoning a decade-long effort to build a self-driving car. According to Bloomberg, this shutdown has led many employees working on Apple's Project Titan to be transferred over to the company's artificial intelligence division. While Apple has not publicly commented on these reports, they seem to be officially pulling the plug on a major project for electronic vehicles.
But when one car door closes, another one opens. A team of techies have created a lightning-fast drone to go head-to-head with an F1 race car. CNN's Jeremy Roth has the results of this neck-and-neck race.
Watch a sleek F1 race car go head-to-head with what's being called the world's fastest aerial drone. Red Bull commissioned the ultra-quick drone design from a team called the Dutch Drone Gods in order to showcase their brand new race car's track chewing chops. What they produced was a drone that could accelerate twice as fast as the car and hit an F1 caliber top speed of 217 miles per hour, which was more than enough to stay hot on the heels of the driver, Formula One world champ Max Verstappen, who said he was truly impressed with how the drone kept up. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
You know, Mauricio, I hear that things have been going pretty crazy on the Texas sports side.
You know, I heard the same. Some wacky stuff has been going on. So why don't we go with our sports anchor, Mackenzie Freeman, who can tell us more about this.
That's absolutely right, guys. Things were insane in the world of Texas sports yesterday. When we come back, I'll give you a scoop on the madness. Fan instances are becoming more popular across sports around the nation. From tearing down goalposts, the instance with Kyle Filipowski causing a knee injury, and now fans at Texas Tech University throwing water bottles on the court in their game against the Texas Longhorns. It seems stories like this are becoming more regular. Midway through the second half, Texas's Brock Cunningham delivered a hard check to the Red Raiders' Darian Williams, forcing him out of bounds. Officials decided to review the play, and during the referee's deliberation, objects including water bottles were thrown onto the court. This resulted in fans being thrown out of the arena and a delay in the game. Even Red Raiders head coach Grant McCaslin took the microphone and encouraged the crowd to stop. Cunningham was ejected with a flagrant 2 foul, and Texas Tech was given an administrative technical. Speaking of wild instances at games, last night the Dallas Mavericks had a crazy ending to their game against the Cavaliers. let's take a look at how the final moments of the game went. Doncic gets the steal, attacks the lane, and gets the assist to PJ Washington to give the Cavaliers the ball back with 2.6 seconds left. The Cavaliers get the ball back with no timeout, and Max Strus heaves a shot from 50 feet to get the game-winning buzzer beater. In the game, Luka Doncic finished with a double-double, including 45 points and 14 assists. Kyrie Irving offered some help as well with 30 points, but it wasn't enough to beat Donovan Mitchell and Max Strus. The Dallas Mavericks have turned the page and play the Toronto Raptors tonight at 6:30, so be sure to tune in after the show. The insanity made its way to UNT last night as well, as the UNT's women's basketball game didn't just go into 1 overtime or 2 overtimes or even 3 overtimes. The game went into 4 overtimes before the Mean Green were able to close out the game with the 93-91 victory over East Carolina. Tamisha led the team with 23 points and 13 rebounds, followed closely by Desiree Colonel with 22 points. The Mean Green now sit second in conference, just half a game behind Temple. With the win, the Mean Green have tied the record for the most wins in one season as they move on to 21-7 on the year. It's safe to say that the Mean Green have entered a new era with head coach Jason Burton, as he has a chance to lead the team to the most wins in program history this Saturday when they face the Rice Owls. That's all I have for sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks for watching ntTV Nightly News.
Join us again tomorrow at noon and tomorrow evening at 6 here on North Texas Television.